When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject, Cross Hall. User, M0PXN1. Posted, October 6, 1996.
There's a corner on every college campus where something feels left behind. At Dunley, that place is Cross Hall. Built in 1911, a sandstone Gothic with cracked window panes and radiators that rattle like something's crawling through them. Nobody wants to live there, not even the freshmen, but I transferred in mid-semester, January 95, and room 212 was all they had. The door stuck when I opened it the first time, like the room didn't want me there. The air smelled faintly of vinegar and dust. Floor slanted slightly toward the window. There was a single twin bed, a warped desk, and a vent high in the corner above the closet, thickly painted over, but definitely open. I didn't notice it much at first, just an old duct, harmless. The first strange thing was the silence. Cross Hall wasn't empty, but it may as well have been. No one left their doors open, no late-night laughter, no clatter from shared bathrooms, just footsteps that never passed your door, and at night, complete stillness, except for the vent. Always a faint hiss, like something breathing through it. I didn't think much of it until the dream started. I'd be lying in bed, paralyzed, staring at the vent. It would open, hinges screaming, and something would begin pulling itself out. I could never see it fully, only hear the slow scrape of nails across the wall, smell rotting wood, and always a voice. Don't look. I told myself it was stress. My old school had been a disaster, and starting over mid-year in Vermont's endless gray did not help. Still, I barely slept. I set alarms. I left music on, but nothing stopped the dreams. Then, one day, I dropped my pen behind the radiator and found the journal. It was small, leather-bound, warped by heat, written in careful, slanted script, Hall, Crenshaw, 1976. Most of it was benign, class notes, grades, complaints about the food, but about halfway through, everything changed. March 14th, woke up on the floor again. The bed's too warm when he comes. The vent opens even when I tape it shut. The whisper gets louder. I thought I saw a face in the glass today, mine, but wrong. March 20th. He hates being seen. Don't look, don't look, don't look. March 22nd. I made eye contact. I think he's inside me now. I stopped reading, closed the journal, put it back. That night, I moved my mattress to the floor. It didn't help. I woke up at 2:12 a.m., heart hammering with the distinct feeling of pressure on my chest, like someone had been sitting on me. The vent creaked softly, not loud, just enough to let me know it had moved. I started skipping class. I couldn't focus. Faces around campus seemed distorted, voices too slow or too fast, as if I was slightly out of sync. I'd walk into buildings and forget why I went in. I stopped speaking to people. I was afraid of what I'd say. One afternoon in March, I caught my reflection in a dorm window, and my mouth was moving, but I was not talking, and that is when I truly stopped sleeping altogether. And the whisper, well, it was no longer confined to my dreams. It followed me into waking life. I'd hear it in the scrape of a pen, in the hum of the radiator, always the same words over and over and over again. Don't look. The college counselor told me it was anxiety, seasonal affective disorder. Advised I try melatonin and journaling. I didn't tell her the thing in the vent had learned my voice. Didn't tell her that I'd woken up 3 nights in a row with dried blood beneath my fingernails and no memory why. Instead, I went back to the journal I found and read to the last page. Hall's final entry was not written in ink, but carved into the inside back cover with what looked like a key. I watched him crawl out. I watched myself go in. I think we've traded places. I called my mom that night, told her I might leave Dunley. She said I sounded strange, said she'd already gotten a call from me 2 days earlier saying I was doing great, that I was thinking of staying through the summer even. I hadn't called her in a week. When I went back to the room, my door was open, the bed was made, and the journal was gone. Well, I slept in the hallway, and the RA just stepped over me without speaking. The next day, I started checking the old Dunley forums, desperate to know if anyone else had stayed in 212. There, buried in an old thread from 91, I found a single reply under a post about dorm ghost stories. I saw him in the vent too. Don't let him know you see him. That's how he gets in. Don't look, just pretend nothing's wrong. No name, just the handle, Paul76. I've written this post 10 times over, deleted it 9, and I know how it sounds like I'm losing my mind, and maybe I am, but something lives in that room, something old, something that hates being perceived. It doesn't scare you, it waits for you to notice it, to give it shape. And once you do, once you look directly at it, it does not leave. It follows you. It becomes you. Last night, I dreamed I was sitting at the desk in room 212, just typing, calm and normal. I looked up and saw myself standing in the doorway, face blank, watching, waiting. That will be my last night here. Hell, I can even hear the vent opening now, and honestly, I'm not sure which version of me is going to walk out just yet.
Subject, Bloody Mary. User, 00Y1TMX00. Posted, March 27, 1999.
It was supposed to be a joke. That's what we kept telling ourselves, at least. Even after the screaming started, even after the lights blew out, even after we slipped in the blood. We were packed into Sammy Worthington's basement bathroom. 5 dumbass freshmen trying to scare each other with a flashlight and half a bottle of Surge. His folks were out of town, and his older brother left behind a bunch of slasher tapes and a carton of Marlboros, so we were feeling grown. Thomas lit the candle. Sammy turned off the flashlight. Brian started giggling. He always giggled when he got nervous, and Luke told him to shut the hell up before he ruined it. We were supposed to say her name 3 times in the mirror. Bloody Mary. Classic dare. Kids have been doing it since forever. I didn't believe in it anyway, not really, but there was something about that mirror, old and warped and flaking at the edges like it had been rotting from the inside out. It made me keep my mouth shut. Sammy went first. Bloody Mary, he whispered. Then again, Bloody Mary. The candle caught the crack in his voice. He looked at us one last time, smirked like it was all just stupid, and said it a 3rd time. Bloody Mary. At first, nothing happened. Just 5 kids crammed shoulder to shoulder, breathing too loud in a basement that smelled like old detergent and damp drywall. Then the mirror twitched. I swear to God, it twitched like a ripple passed through it. Brian laughed and said someone must have touched it, but we were all frozen in place. That's when the hairline crack appeared, thin as a spider's leg, running straight down the glass. The flame snapped sideways, and for a second I thought we were about to lose the candle, but then the glass started to melt. Not drip, melt. The silver behind it went first, turning dark like smoke rising underwater, and then came the fingers, black, slender, wet. They pushed through the crack like they'd been waiting, and then she pulled herself out, slow. That's what I remember most. Not rage, not screaming, patience. Her skin looked raw, like she'd been skinned alive and was still bleeding underneath. Her hair hung in tangled ropes, soaked in something that wasn't water. Her face, Jesus Christ, her face, it was scary as fuck. No eyes, no nose, just a long slit across where her mouth should have been, splitting sideways into her cheeks. When it opened, you could see the teeth. Rows and rows, dull, yellow, and uneven, packed so tight it looked like they were trying to burst out. Brian screamed first, tried to run even, but he tripped over the trash can and slammed into the sink, and when he tried to push himself up, she was already on him. One hand gripped his hair, the other dug straight into his back like it was soft clay. She didn't cut, she tore, peeled him open like a wet zipper. His spine arched backward, and we saw his ribs before we saw his heart. It was still beating. Thomas threw up on the floor. Luke turned to grab the doorknob, but it wouldn't move, locked and stuck. We were trapped. Sammy picked up the candle and threw it at her. I don't know what he thought that would do, but the wax just hit her shoulder and rolled off like it didn't matter. She looked at him, if you can call what she did looking, and then opened that mouth wide enough to crack her jaw. The sound was like meat tearing off bone. Luke made a break for it, tried to smash the mirror with his fists. It did not budge. She moved faster than I thought possible. 1 second, she was hunched over Brian's body. The next, she was inside Luke, arm shoved straight through his chest, like it had always belonged there. His eyes rolled back, and he started choking on blood. And when she pulled back, she didn't just take his heart, she wore it. Thomas backed into the corner and started whispering something over and over. I couldn't hear it. I didn't want to. Sammy grabbed my arm and yanked me toward the door. I don't know how it opened. I swear it was still locked, but suddenly we were in the hall, running, slipping, screaming. He went left and I went right. I don't know what happened to Sammy, but when the cops found me, I was crouched in the woods behind his house, barefoot, clothes soaked in someone else's blood. They said I was in shock, said I must have blacked out, said there were no bodies in the house, not even a drop of blood in that bathroom. The mirror wasn't even cracked, just a regular goddamn mirror. They ended up calling it a psychotic break, gave me pills, had me talk to people in pastel offices with tissue boxes and diplomas on the wall, but I know what I saw. I remember the peeling, the stink, the way the blood steamed on the floor. I haven't looked in a mirror after midnight since then, and I won't. Sometimes I catch a glimpse in a window or the back of a spoon or the dark TV screen when I walk through the living room too late, and I still, to this day, see her watching me from behind the glass.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.